Welcome to another exciting edition to Grove City Hockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cut Shield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cut Shield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cut Shield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code Grove City Hockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCA's podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest. I've got Drew Hite. How you doing, brother?
Great, man. How are you doing?
Doing great. Now, for those of you that don't know, Andrew runs the Konixx Ragecats based out of Detroit with part of the Border Cats organization as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, we combined with KW Rage from Kitchener-Waterloo, and when we were younger and kind of got us here to Gabe. We both needed a whole team to play with and be with for some years.
Yeah. So now let's start at the very beginning. How did you get into the sport of roller hockey, or just in general the game of hockey in and of itself? I know I have an idea where you're going to go with this, but and we'll talk about your stepdad here in a second. But just go right into it, man.
Yeah. So it started. Really, I'd go to my grandma's after school, and I had a buddy from across the street that we'd always be playing street hockey. Like, it was always, all right, put on the rollerblades, let's rip up the street. So I was like, all right, I kind of get into this and try to start playing ice. And it was always just too much for my parents, too much money and too much time. So found Sports Forum, which wasn't too far from the house, and which is now closed, but that was a great place. That's where I started. Met Ben Hay there, met some good guys, and kind of started there. And that's where I kind of took off from there. I played a couple years at Sports Forum to start when I was about 8, and then went over to Dumars and met some of my best friends there and some of the best people I've met in my life, and family that I can call forever.
Yeah, and then you joined the Border Cats organization, right? Now, tell us how that organization came about, because I know that organization is very near and dear to your heart because of who was running it for a long time.
Yeah, so Matt, he actually started it probably years ago, and it started with a great group. He always had good guys coming from the area, and he kind of got his one team with his like Ryan Lemke, Kyle Siciliano, Jason Strauss, like all guys that are all time. I still see him every week, and they kind of took him off and took him to the next level. They started going around the country, getting around. And for a while, when roller was super strong, it was Dumars and Palma was coming there. Just saw Jerry Osterkamp posted a couple months ago a video of them all walking to Dumars. It was so crazy to see from so long ago, and it really blew up from there. And that team was really the main staple. They had Chad Spezia was there, and he's still all-time guy. He's family to me, and he really started off. He was the main big guy in the area to start, and then some more kids started coming. Ryan Lemke came on the scene, got sponsored by Mission Bauer. Tyler Spezia came on, was playing with them for a while. That's really where he started when he was about, I want to say 16, 17, and they took off from there, and we kind of watched them play out forever. And the organization just continued to grow out of Dumars. There's so many high schools around there and so much ice hockey going on. It was such a good thing for kids in the summer. I know one of my best friends, Cal Cafuke, he started playing roller hockey out of Dumars, and he said he loves playing roller hockey more than ice. Every summer he's he looks forward to seeing the guys, and started there. Him and Matt, his dad are best friends. They started off really heavy there, and they just kept blowing up. And I started playing with Cal and the Border Cats when I was about 10, and then we kind of just took off and see a guy there, and I still see him to this day. I just saw him the other day.
Yeah, and it's crazy, because you're not the first person to say that. Where you could play ice hockey, but then when you come over and start playing roller hockey, they just, you know what? Ice is fine, it's whatever, but I love playing roller hockey. I mean, I've not heard anybody who's playing roller go, you know what? I prefer ice over roller. It's always roller over ice, which just baffles me because, I'm just like, man, ice is so cool. It's one of the fastest games, but because you get built-in air conditioning all year round, but we're like, you know what? Let's just play in the 110 heat with the humidity at 90+%.
Yeah, wheels slipping across the floor, trying to get a little grip. But yeah, that's how it's been. I mean, really, it's like the guys in the summer that still play ice. I mean, they play ice all season, get the paycheck, get your future going, and then they wait for the summer. And as soon as that summer hits, my phone just starts blowing up and they're all ready to go again. It's just waiting for it to start.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's so cool because, like you said, it's the community, it's the environment, it's everybody that just comes together and just wants to play. So now take me through your thought, not necessarily your thought process, but how you went from going with the Border Cats and now to running the Konixx Ragecats. How did you get the wheel sponsors from Konixx, or how did you get the name Konixx? And how did you build that team? What were you looking for? And then we're going to talk about your first year or two in the Pro Division.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So really, I mean, it started. We started off as Mission Bauer because Riley was a great guy. Tommy Neer, like they were always hooking us up, hooking up the pro guys. They wanted to be us next, so they started there. We started off Mission Bauer Ragecats. Then they kind of died out. Riley got out, so now we're kind of here, and now it's like we are actually at State Wars in Fort Wayne. I want to say it was 2016, and like me and Cal, I mean, when we were from 10 to about 14, it was always like our teams were always like trying to pick up guys, grab guys. Like, it was always a different team. Like the only guys that were staying permanent was me and him. Like it was always because we were doing it for a while, where it's 2000s and 01s playing together, and then 2000s and 99s. It was every other year. So then we'd have one team, next team, one team, next team. And like, I know all the other teams were going through the same thing. So we ended up, I was at State Wars, and we were in the pro, or not the pro, in the skills competition. And I knew Hunter Tilson from Missouri, and he was always like, I started playing with him probably when I was about 13, went to Florida with him a couple times. And I met a couple guys from Canada, Drew Girth and Carter Bulow, in the skills competition. Like we were just sitting there chalking it up, having a good time on the side, and we were kind of looked at them like, hey, like you guys want to combine and make a team? Like we're both done like looking for a team. I know they're great guys. Like we want to just get this established. So we actually told them, I was like, hey, like let's start next year. Like I'll got all their contact information, and they were KW Rage. Carter Bulow's dad, Scotty Bulow, was running it all. And we kind of did that and started from there. And like I told them, like, we'll keep the Rage, take the Cats, and we'll do that and make it Rage Cats. So then we did that. I mean, we started off hot. I mean, you took some of the best kids in the 2000s age group and just put them all together, and it just worked. Like we never practiced. We'd show up and just run the tournament. Like that's just how it went. It just felt so good, Met someone, like they're awesome guys, all of them. Can't beat them. So we did that, and then a couple years, Mission Bauer died out in the sport a little bit. So I went to school at ASU, and I kind of knew Nick Boyarski from playing. I mean, they had the Rattler Cats team, which was out of Mississauga and Dumars. Okay. So they kind of, with Kyle Soper, Brandon Glover, those guys, they kind of started that team, which made the first like combo. So we were kind of like, all right, like they can do it. Why can't we? So we did that, and Konixx, I mean, after a couple of years, Mission Bauer kind of died out. We had the same uniforms. I knew Boyle forever. I mean, I've been getting wheels from him since I was 13. So it was like, as soon as that happened, I kind of told him, like, hey, like, you're the guy I want to go with. Like, I love your uniforms. I love the wheels. I mean, most durable. I mean, they're always reliable. That's why Konixx is reliable. First thing I always tell him. So he kind of got with me, and we made that happen, and it just worked out perfect, man. I mean, and Nick Dowling with True Threads, he makes our uniforms and works out perfect. I mean, it's such an easy process with those guys. It's just smooth. Everything gets done quick, and it's like he's one of the only guys I've met designing uniforms where it's like you talk to him for about 15 minutes on the phone, 20 minutes, he'll text you in an hour with the exact uniform you want. I mean, I had to made a couple maybe minor changes with the uniforms, like a couple things. And like we had originally the navy blue and the white, and then after Matt passed, I was like, like we got to get something going to where got to honor him, got to keep his name alive in the game. So we came up with the baby blues with the 93 Border Cat head on it. And they just took off, man. I mean, we put those on and everybody, like, we're skating out to games and all these little kids are just like, whoa. Like, even guys on the other team, like, I know Tyler Spezia came up to us at Tours and he's like, man, how many like uniforms you guys have? He's like, and they all look great. Like, he was loving them. And I was like, man, like, it just works out easy. Like, it was so perfect the way it worked out. And Boyarski is one of those guys, like, forever can be a contact. I mean, I could text him now and say, hey, give me a call that day. Like, great guy. Can't beat him in the game.
That's amazing. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to interview him yet. I'll try to reach out to him and see if I can't get him on the pod because sounds like he has a pretty interesting story to tell as well.
Yeah, I mean, he now is he's been it was Alex Doe and him running ASU roller hockey. I know Alex Doe kind of took a little bit of a lower role, kind of stepped away a little bit because he's a teacher, so he's always busy. So RC kind of stepped it up. And I know Alex McDonald, I think, is helping out with them for a little bit now this year, and they're starting to flourish and get it back. I mean, they lost a lot of guys this past year. I mean, me, Lane Hartwell, the best goalie in college roller, and a couple other guys. I mean, they lost about 6 guys, so now they're starting to get it back and get some guys going in there. And I know some good guys that are going. I just met a kid in Indianapolis for Miha who's going to ASU now. And I told him, I was like, dude, like, I'll get you in touch with Boyle. Like, you need to play, man. Like, get out there and play. And he's like, all right, like, I'll do it. So they're starting to grow back again and trying to just get them to the top, man. I mean, Lindenwood's always going to be Lindenwood and Bethel's always going to be Bethel. I mean, you can't beat free school. I mean, it's hard to beat them with free school and all the stuff paid for. Like, ASU hooks it up, but the hardest part is trying to get people out there and the tuition. We help where we can, but you can only do so much. But yeah, ASU is starting to take off and hopefully get that top spot back and try to knock out Lindenwood. I mean, as much as you got to respect those guys for forever playing against them, but everybody's goal is always knock them out. I mean, anytime we went out on the rink to play them, kids from other team are watching. They're like, all right, like, hey, like, beat them. Like, they want us to take them out. And we're like, trust me, like, we're trying, man. They have such a good system and 15 guys, they're never tired. I mean, you take one shift off, that's 2 goals in your net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough to when you have a deep bench like that, or and you're playing with a short bench, throughout a long weekend. It's one of those things where it's nice to have those extra legs. So if anybody's thinking about playing collegiate roller hockey, give ASU a shot.
Yeah, definitely, great place to be. I mean, that's the one thing. We had a kid out from Des Moines. He came out and visited, met up with his parents. Me and Boyle took him to dinner, and it was like they had a blast. Like, it's the hardest point is you guys come out there and visit Arizona State. I mean, it's hard to say no to a place like that. It's constantly sunshine. It's like you're living the retired life while in school. You can golf every day, go out every day, do whatever you want, man. It's a great place.
Yeah, and another interesting fact is that there's a former ASU alum that I'm friends with on Facebook, and I see him post all the time. But he graduated back in like the 80s, and he was a wrestler, and he was also a UFC champion, Dan the V7, and because his son was wrestling when I was coaching at White Pigeon, and he was just like, he just happened to be one of there, and I've been watching the UFC, ever since I could, remember, like back when it first came out, like at the very beginning, UFC 1 with Hoist Gracie and Ken Shamrock, and then to hear out of Coldwater, Michigan, was Dan Severn, and then reading his story and his history, and then watching him grow, and then just even watching him still on the Facebook, and then meeting other players as well. And I want to say, I think I'm friends with Alex McDonald, but I think, didn't he grow up in Michigan?
No, he's been an Arizona guy. He's been an Arizona guy his whole life. I mean, he's the top guy out there you want to meet. I mean, he's the top guy running roller, and he doesn't run the roller out there, but he's always a name that's coming up. You talk top guys in Arizona, he's always right at the top. I mean, him and Marvin Simmons is another great dude. Marvin Simmons is great. He coaches the youth a bunch. Yeah, I got Marvin on the pod coming up here the next couple of weeks. Yeah, he's an awesome guy. He's full of good stories too, man. He'll give you some good laughs.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, now I'm super stoked because I saw his page and I'm like, man, like Marvin, like, because my mother's maiden name is Simmons, and so I'm like, man, there's got to be some kind of connection here. And and then I was looking at his Facebook page and I sent him a friend request, and then I sent him a interview request as well. and I just see nothing but French League information on his page, and I'm like, even better. Let's talk about some French League stuff. So
Yeah, he did that with Alex McDonald. Alex McDonald's the one that got him out there, and he did that for I think a
nice.
year, and then kind of came back. But yeah, he was actually supposed to play with us this summer, but he had some complications, so he couldn't really make it to State Wars, so it was tough. But always a good guy that can always rely on, man. He's a rely on. It's always hard to get in contact with him, but he's a good guy.
Right. So now, walk me through your first year of pro with the Konixx Ragecats, because you guys did the tours, which is the very first event of the summer. Then you guys didn't really do anything in between that and the PAMA Pro, right?
No, yeah, it's tough. I mean, the hardest thing is we have kids coming from Canada, Missouri. I mean, kids coming from everywhere. So the hardest part is trying to get everybody together to get them going. And it's like the hardest part is money. I mean, none of it's cheap. You know, like we usually never do California. I'd love to do California, but half the problem is you pay $1,000 to get out there, and then all the price of everything is just more and more and more. Great tournament. I mean, Darren always runs it good, but it's always half the battle is getting out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we took it off too. I mean, because we were talking about doing Narch, but it's just you've seen so many teams that came from Narch so beat up, like because it was the weekend before State Wars. Like I know Palma was down guys because they had hard. I mean, they ran the gauntlet at Narch, and then I know they were missing a couple D-men. They had to pick up a couple stragglers off the side, and they were struggling to get guys. So we were kind of like, we'd rather come from tours, get a fresh start at tours, get your legs moving, get everybody together, and then show up to State Wars ready to go.
Well, and then not only that, but they also threw a bunch of guys overseas to that Swiss tournament too, the Sparta Cup.
Yeah.
And then they went to Africa as well and did the Africa Cup.
Yeah.
And so I'm just
Travis
like,
Noah went, and he can do everything. Yeah. I mean, that guy, he's a freak. I mean, you could tell him to play a roller hockey tournament every weekend, he'd do it. I mean, he's got it.
Yeah, I sent out an interview request for Travis too, so hopefully Noe will get back to me so we can get him on.
Yeah, but I mean, our first summer really in pro, I mean, we made quite the splash. I mean, we had a couple guys that couldn't make it last minute for tours. I mean, Kyle Soper, he played a tournament in Mississauga about a week before, got hit from behind. He's one of our top D-man, top players on the team, got hit from behind. I mean, he couldn't move. Like, he called me so upset. Like, he's like, dude, like, I wish I could be there, but I just physically cannot skate. Like, he was stuck, and he couldn't make it. Hunter Tilson had a passing in his family, so he couldn't make it. So we put a couple guys together. I mean, I think we were running 10. Yeah, we were running 10 there for a while at tours. The whole time we ran 10 guys. I mean, picked up Drew DiCarlo from knowing him, and he came through. I mean, he was a great help. Picked up Riley Donner. He was a great player too. But yeah, I mean, we made it work for tours, and we were very short on the bench for that tournament too. But we made it happen, man. I mean, when you put enough guys together that know how to play the game in the proper fashion, you can get it done. I mean, you've seen round robin. We had one tough game against the Roadrunners, really, and that was like, we all knew, like, we got off the rink, we knew that was our worst game yet. So we kind of shook that off. Nobody was really like heartbroken about it. We're like, all right, like, let's forget about that and carry on to the next one. And then we came out in that quarterfinal. I mean, that rink was packed. I mean, everybody was shocked, and they all thought we were going to win it. I mean, we thought we were going to win it. One corner, Cal hits the corner post in overtime, and it runs out, and they got Matt Barry took off for one, and we kind of had a tough loss. But I mean, first tournament together as a bunch of pro guys the oldest guy on our team, I think, was Don Carter, and I think he's about 26, 27, and that was really his first time playing out of Cali, and he had a blast, and he's a great player to have. But we really came in and made a statement and kind of got our name out there. And I know when we were coming to State Wars, everybody was like, all right, like, let's do it. And we still even ran short. I mean, we ended up with 11 guys. First game, we had to run 10 because Mason Pilkington was stuck in Georgia, one of those flights. He was just caught there for forever. And then came to Start Wars, had to work rough first game, got that out of the way, and then we kind of were humming since then. I mean, everything was just kind of going together, and we have such a great group of guys. I mean, everybody has their team, everybody has a team they play with in the summer, but ours is more of a family. Like, we have guys that come and play with us, and they don't ever want to play for anyone else. Like Jack O'Hannison, he's asking us, like, man, like, can I play with you guys for good? And we're like, dude, like, you're on the team, man. Like, he ended up top scorer. I mean, he won the one game for us against Blood and Feathers. He had 6 goals in the game. Like, and we're sitting there, he scores 2. We're like, like, sweet. Scores 3 and then goes and puts in 6. And we're all just sitting there like, hey, like, here's the puck, man. Get up the rink and go take it off. And we were missing Cal Kafuk too, who was supposed to be there. And he also unfortunately had a loss in the family, so he couldn't make it last minute as well. But I mean, we beat some good teams without our top guys, and it was like Joe Fordyce is another one that we were missing, top D-man really on our team with him and Soper and Don Carter, but he got injured in that last Car Shield game as well. So he had a shoulder injury, he could barely like move his shoulder. So we put together some good guys and got it done, and we're excited for this summer because it's like we finally know we're gonna have our full team together, and hopefully maybe getting a couple guys back, and we're gonna have to see what they do, but we'll see how that goes. But I mean, we have such a strong group of guys where it's like a lot of them I don't even have to text them. I just know they're in. Like I talked to Drew Girth the other weekend, and he's just like, man, I can't wait. Like he's just pumped for every summer, and he had a breakout summer as well. I mean, Jack O'Hanson really stepped it up. We had Lucas Deeb we grabbed for tours and state wars last minute. I mean, I hit him up for tours about 4 days before the tournament. I'm like, hey, like you can get your flight out here, man. Like everything else is covered. Like we got you. And he came out and he showed out. I mean, I don't even know. He might be, I think he's 18 or 19 years old, and he came out and just
crazy
played like the rest of them, as long as you work hard and you know the game, you're good. And that's the best part is we play such a simple yet like confusing for the other team game of roller. It's where it's like we always create opportunities and we're always going to be in a game no matter what. I mean, we had 10 guys, we're going to be in that game still, like Car Shield, 10 guys, we're going to be in that game.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that you guys played. I can't think of. I mean, check my notes here real quick because you guys finished 7th in that first weekend, right?
Yeah, tours and round robin. Yeah, we ended up having Car Shield.
I've got the PAMA Pro notes right here, and I was like, yeah, and then where to go? I know I had it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Car Shield again. I mean, that's thing, like we kind of said, like it was all working out perfect because Black Ice and Pama, their schedule at tours was so I mean, not easy for them because no game in pro is easy, but they had the teams that they wanted to play, and it's almost like it works your best with that top seed, and then you get in and you get in and you haven't played one really like solid team that you're going to play in the quarterfinals, so you kind of get stunned on, and that's like how they kind of got jumped, I think. And that's it's like they're both the 2 top programs in roller, them and Snipers. It's like they're the teams that you want to beat, and they kind of had it going, and then they kind of caught themselves, and that's how Carson made it to the final. I mean, they played us, and that was the best game of the weekend, I think. Oh
yeah, because you guys played them tough too, and it probably doesn't hurt that you guys see them a little bit. A couple of you guys see them. House leagues and stuff like that.
Yeah, I see Hodge every weekend. I mean, Schwartz. I mean, those guys are always playing together, and they're great guys. Like good guys that you can go to war with out there. But after the rink, you're like, "What's up, man? Like, how you doing?" Like, have a beer with them at the end of the day. It's the best part.
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing about roller hockey. That I've seen, because I have not really seen that with ice hockey guys. You know? It's always like, oh no, we're gonna go do our own thing. You're gonna do your own thing. But with roller, everybody's like, come have a beer. Let's go get some wings. Let's throw some stuff on the barbecue and have a nice little shindig. So.
And that's how it was. Like right after tours, like playoffs, we lose that game. Right after that, I mean, we're up in the bar next day with all the Car Shield guys. Like whatever. It's like you guys beat us fair and square. Like good luck and great game, great season, like great tournament. Like. So we all hung out, it's out. Like you go up to that bar at tours that's like in the center of the rink in Tampa, and that thing is packed, and it's just all the teams. Everybody's chatting to each other, everybody's friends. Obviously you have your certain guys on and off, like off the rink and on the rink that you particularly don't want to talk to, but you're going to still say what's up. It's like you have guys you go to war against, but they're still good guys at the end of the day.
Yeah. So now walk me through your tour Roadrunners matchup. You guys lost 5-1. When you guys saw Patrick Maroon step out onto the floor for the first time, what was your first thought? Because he was not even listed on the roster for the Roadrunners anywhere, and he was a huge surprise, at least for me. When I was doing my research, before the tours event, because he was still. I think he was just a week or two out from getting eliminated in the Stanley Cup or something.
Yeah,
or not, but in the playoffs.
He was there. I mean, we knew. I mean, he's one of those guys. He's played roller forever, and he knew we were like, he's gonna show up. We just got to see what team he's on, and end up being the Roadrunners. I mean, because the Roadrunner was short a couple guys. I know Berger didn't get there till late. They were missing Del Morte, which he's always a top player for them. So it's like they were missing a couple guys. I mean, regardless of him or those guys missing, anytime we play them, they play such a good system of roller. We know we're going to have a game. And we see him, and it's like a couple of his goals. I mean, he just cleans it up in front. Like I got the one goal he scored on me, and like I fully had this guy's stick tied up, and he still gets like a clean shot. I'm just like, all right, like nothing much you can do with that. I mean, you play hockey for a living, dude. We get it, but yeah, I mean, he was a great addition for them. I mean, I think he was ultimately the piece that fully got them together and got them to where they needed to be and put them in that position to win that tournament.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the only tournament that they really had any success outside. I mean, they did do fairly well in the round robins at the other two events, but I mean, they kind of fell flat in the playoffs. Like you were saying, they get stuck with a lot of the newer teams, coming in for the first time, and I think that's kind of how the pro division starts out with was like, hey. Okay, you're new. You're going to get your licks in, but give it a couple years with the same core guys, and I'm excited to see you guys play again this season, because you've got that your first year under your belt. You know what you have to do, and you know what adjustments you're going to make, and on top of that, you are bringing in other players that are going to only help your team, and that are going to improve your system, or make your system more work well together. And that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we can go back to, okay, I'm gonna you guys are gonna fly in, and then we're gonna run the table. I think in a couple of years, when some of these older guys, start to go, okay, family life is starting to creep in. I'm not going to be able to have as much time. You young guys are going to just have an amazing team right here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what kind of happened, like with the older Border Cat team. I mean, all those guys, like they got to the point where they all have wives and kids, and like I know Kyle Siciliano, like he even said, he's like, I have 2 kids and a wife at home. Like it's hard for me to tell her, like, hey, like I'm gonna go to Florida and play hockey with all my buddies for the weekend. Good luck with the kids, like you can't do that. But it's like either way, like at State Wars, I mean, we played Pama, Skittles, Blood and Feathers, and then who was our last game again? Our last game was against Blood and Feathers, Skittles,
North Park.
Yeah, we played them in the quarters, but either Snipers, that's who we had. And like we seen our schedule. We seen our schedule and we're like, all right, like that's who you want. I mean, you want to play the best teams in the game to see where you're at, engage yourself, and know your improvements. And, we had 10 guys, came out flat against Pama. They kind of beat us up, and they were scoring from everywhere. I mean, I know our goalie was not happy after the game, and it wasn't on him, but, I mean, they have shooters. I mean, you have Junior Cadiz, Travis John Seamer. I mean, you put the puck on those guys' sticks, and they're open. They're going to score.
Yeah,
and we gave them a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that they'll take that same Palma team and put them in the 35 and over division and run the table as well. Yeah, it's like, what? And it's crazy that those guys are still playing. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you look, I mean, Junior Cadiz, I mean, anybody can say that they want. One of the best guys in the game, and I don't know when he's ever going to lose a step. I mean, he's always on top of it, nonstop. And Seamer as well. I mean, they're always training, ready to go. And it's like, we had that first one. We were kind of like, all right, boys, like we're here now, hopefully everybody's woke up after that. And then went out and played Skittles that night. And I know those kids thought they felt like they were coming out and beating us. And they thought because everybody at that tournament sees Cal Fuchs on our roster. I mean, who he played Palma Pro in 2016 or 17 with Black Ice and won top player. I mean, he was getting top minutes with Black Ice, and they see him on the roster and they're like, all right, like we got him, and we went out and played Skittles, played a great game against them. I mean, those are all of our buddies too. So it was one of those games where it was fun, but it was even better. We got the win, and like we needed that one bad. And like it's crazy the way that the finish they had, because they had such a good team. It's just they just kind of got out. They didn't get in the rhythm. They never caught stride, and like we ended up beating them, and then going into Snipers the next day. And like after winning that game, going into Snipers the next one, you're kind of ready to go. And we knew, like, all right, like they don't have Redmond in that. Kevin Dwyer is awesome goalie still, and we know they're going to play that same system of game. I mean, any team that has Brandon Hawkins on the other side of the rink, you're going to have a game. And we had a good game against them. I mean, they went up 3-0, I think 3-1, and Drew Girth ends up having a hat trick, ties it up for us. And I mean, we go to a shootout, and they send out Hawkins, Jack Combs, and it's like and one guy, I think it was one of the Euro guys came out, and it's like our goalie was so mad because he didn't stop any of them. We're like, dude, like I don't care what goalie in this pro division, you put them against like them, like
Yeah.
Nobody's stopping it. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody is stopping any of those.
It's definitely not a goalie's event when you have a shootout in the pro division for roller hockey. That much I can tell you, because it's like you just got and not only that, but you just there's the skill level with the one-on-one. I mean, you guys can just pick apart all the goalies, no matter how good you are.
Nobody's at an advantage. And like the one time, I think the kid like kind of barely got anything on the puck, so he missed it for us. But we were like, I mean, that's a game where like we tie that snipers game, losing a shootout. Everybody else is like, all right, like they're for real here. Like now they're for real here. So we had that late one against Blood and Feathers, and we kind of went down. We were like, we got to win this game. We can't have this happen. And ended up beating them with Jack O'Hanson scoring 6 goals to win top scorer. Like insane. I mean, you listen to that replay back, and it's George Brown going nuts the whole time. He's like, who is this guy? Like it was crazy. We're all sitting there stocked, and then we got North Park in the quarterfinals, and that's the team we wanted to play. I mean, that's anybody you want to play in that playoffs is them first. And they had a couple of guys. I mean, Blake Bennett's always a shooter. Blizron was a great pickup for them, and he was having a good tournament. Like, but they had a couple of guys that we know, like we got to lock them down, and they got a couple good bounces, and then they ended up boxing up against us. And we knew playing against Chucky. We play against Chucky all the time. He played on our team before. He's always been a good guy. We know he's a great goalie. So we've seen them, and they boxed up. I mean, boxing up in a pro roller hockey game, it makes it really boring to watch, and it makes it really boring to play, and it slows you down a lot, and it makes it a lot harder to get shots to. I mean, we were shooting everywhere on Chucky, and it just felt like it was hitting the guy's stick, hitting the guy's body, like we were shooting from everywhere, and they ended up getting the win. But that was a good battle for us. I mean, I can tell you, Tim McManus did not expect us to come do that, and like he saw Cal wasn't coming, and he was like, "Oh, like these guys are done." And we ended up doing that, and he came out after and was like, "Respect, like you guys are for real." So after that, like, and we know we're going to be healthy next summer. We know who we could have, and finalizing a couple pieces here, and we know we're going to have a summer, and we know we're on the map. So we got a target on us, and we know we're ready to put a target on everyone else.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see now in that pro division. Which teams? I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit that you absolutely want to play against. I know you didn't get a chance to play Black Ice this year. Are you looking forward to playing them this coming season? And what teams are you like? I can't wait to play, because I know you're looking for that challenge, but you'd want to see them in the finals.
I mean, anything really. I mean, you've seen the run that Black Ice has been on over these last couple of years. I mean, it started like 2013, 2015, I think, at Narch and East Coast, and man, they just went on a tear. I mean, Tyler Kraft just fully stepped on the scene, and he's just turned into one of the best players on the planet. And I mean, he put himself out there, but it's like, you got to think any tournament you show up to, those championships are going to run through them. So at some point, you're going to see those guys. I mean, there's one team we want to play Black Ice with our full squad and their full squad. We have a couple guys that play for them that used to play with, like Ryan Kish on that team, Baumgartner, like a bunch of guys, or Baumgartner, a bunch of guys that we want to see and we want to play, and you beat a team like that lets them know, and that lets them know, like, hey, like, we're here too, like you don't have an easy game against us, and that's how we know. I mean, the best part is we never go into a game expecting to beat them, like expect to beat anyone. Like that's how you get beat in the pro division the fastest. And it's just like that's who we want to play. We want to play I mean, we played Palma, didn't have a good game, so it'd be nice to see them again. I mean, we always love playing after tours, man. We were like Car Shields, like love playing against those guys, because it's Hodge, Perry, Schwartz, like Jess Hackett, like all guys that we've always known like forever growing up. It's like those are the guys you want to play. I mean, those are the games you want to get yourself into to get to that next level. I mean, we don't think the only way person in ourselves is only person in our way is us. We put it together. We play with anyone.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about that Car Shield team is that they brought in Troy Redmond, and then he ended up getting injured, and then they still made the finals with Steve Brandy and then of course you had Adam Ernie on the roster too, and and that goes to back to Border Cat days where you had Dylan Larkin in the program, you've had Alex DeBrincat in the program, Tyler Spiza. And then of course you were naming off a couple others off air as well.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
those are all guys you love to see. I mean, Tyler Spezia, I mean, he's the one that really put me in, got me even more into roller hockey and grew my game a bunch. I mean, he's one of those guys you grew up seeing at Joe Dumars, and like anybody can argue with who they want, but I think he's arguably the best skater in all of roller hockey. I mean, that guy's out there, he floats. Like all of a sudden you look at him, he's going right past you, like he's gone. And such a great guy too. But yeah, it's like seeing them, and it's like that thing, no matter what goalie that Car Shield team had in net, they were always going to have a chance because they played such a good system of roller hockey. And I mean, George Brown coached us the one summer in D1 at Tours, and we ran everything, beat every team, ran every game. I mean, there's not a second we thought we weren't winning a game. And George Brown, I mean, I think he is one of the biggest factors that is not talked about in that Car Shield team, because that guy talks to you pre-game. You want to go out there, like, leave the door closed. We're going to run through the door to get on the rink to start the game. Like, he gets you going, man. I mean, he's awesome.
That's awesome. So, well, that's going to do it for this episode. I can't thank you enough, Andrew Hite, for stepping up and taking the time to shoot the breeze with me, talking to you about your Konixx Ragecats. I'm excited. I'm more excited now that I've gotten a little more information, and I can't wait to see how you guys do this year.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. I mean, I really appreciate it, and this is what we need to grow the game. I mean, we'll try to get some more guys on for you, and I'll try to get some clips on our Instagram and get you going. I mean, everybody who's out there, check out the Border Cat Instagram, Detroit_BorderCats, and give it a follow. And we're trying to grow the game and grow our youth teams as well still.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me was Andrew Hite. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.